Hello, I'm Toycat and welcome back to QnA Saturday. This is the weekly series I used to run on the channel every single week where I answer your questions that have been asked over the previous week's Q&A. Obviously, as letters started falling out of QnA Saturday and as they started getting a bit cave update propagandary, we kind of phased out the series, but I figured let's bring it back. Let's do at least one good old classic QnA Saturday, no ulterior motives, no cave update promotion, just some questions and some answers. And the tiny little twist we have today is because usually when I browse the comments for QnA Saturday questions, I end up going for like 1,000 comments. I lose track of what a question even is and what a good question is or a bad question. I feel like it's not a great thing, so I actually have an assistant helping me today who's picked all of the questions and we're going through them live for the very first time now, so that's going to be a fun one, I think. So we're going to start with CJ the Grease question first of all, because they ask, does this Q&A have an ulterior motive? And I assure you there is no ulterior motive in this Q&A. I know a lot of the time we've been sneaking in little cave update references and talking about how Mojang should totally have a cave update and how I would really love if the Minecon live theme, the thing they're going to be revealing there, would be a cave update. I definitely think that caves and updates go together like cheese and, I don't know, a decent update for Minecraft's Underground. It's just a thing that definitely should be added, but I'm not going to mention cave updates in this video whatsoever. I assure you there is no ulterior motive, Mr. CJ the Green. But let's move into the second question, shall we, which comes in from Artillery Only, who says, have there been any updates on your survival world coming out for sale? So this is a good question. It's one that I really hate answering though, because in life there are two types of tasks. There are tasks that you have pretty much full control over. It just depends how much time or effort or mental energy or physical energy that you can put into a thing. And then there are tasks that are just entirely outside of your control, or at least partially outside of your control. They rely on something else happening first. Like if someone requests that I make the sunrise 20 minutes early tomorrow, I can't make that happen, but for some reason it's going to weigh on me regardless. I hate this second type of activity because honestly, you know, for some reason if someone asks me to do something I feel like I should be able to, not being able to just kind of sucks. And yeah, to relate this, by the way, I think I could totally live with a society where we go like Unabomber style and, you know, nothing really exists, there's no technology, just because then, you know, like I could rely on myself. If I don't hunt a squirrel, then I die, and at least that would be on me. It's not because I don't know the right purpose and a giant corporation that happens to make things happen in the way they're meant to happen in the first place, because there's so many, like, you know, corporate structures that have this weird structure that favors their friends over favoring the actual purpose of their job. It's a weird thing, but it happens everywhere all the time, and I kind of hate it. And yeah, how does that relate to my survival world coming out for sale? Well, it's been out of my hand for months now. Like, it's growing older and older. Like, I'm spending months working on it. And is it available for sale? I don't even think we have a release date yet. It is in the hands of people who are not me, and I literally have nothing to do at this stage besides sit and wait. And it's one of those things that just reminds me, like, yep, some tasks in the world just suck. If you want them done and people want you to get them done, they're not your thing to get done, and someone else just, you know, they don't have the same interests as you, so they just do it at their own pace. And a lot of people's own pace, it turns out, is they wait until the last possible second they can feasibly get away with doing something, and then that's when it happens. So yeah, someone somewhere in the chain is sitting on this, and I don't know, it's just kind of it's just a thing I accept at this point, that like you gotta poke every week, and every week they can be like, whoa, I forgot this was a thing since last week. And I don't know, it drives me a little bit crazy, but don't all things in the world? I mean, aren't I already crazy, you could argue? Well, Victor Rodriguez says, can you help me with math homework? I have a test on Monday, please. So first of all, this is a weird question. I don't think I would have picked it myself, but again, we're rolling with the punches on this one. So here's advice for your math homework. You've got two pretty decent, pretty parallel solutions, I would say. The first one is to do maybe half the maths homework, but then like don't pick the first half. Do every other question, make sure you get it right, and then every other question, just guess. Like, oh no, I got 50%, I'm so bad. Maybe you could help me in the class. Boom, you get more teachering, which is a thing that people want anyway. Do two things for the price of one. The second solution is to run away from home, live in the woods, and then live the Unabomber dream where you don't need to have people to rely on. You don't need to have anything out there that's gonna hold you down, because when you live in the woods, there's no maths homework, there's squirrel homework. You don't find a squirrel, you don't eat that squirrel, you don't live, but at least you don't have the dread of thinking, oh no, am I gonna eat a squirrel? You live or you die. There is no in between. There is no maths homework. There is no dread. There is no case of the Mondays. And wait, what was the point of this Q&A again? Let's move into the fourth question, which comes in from Entity GFX, who says, what's your favorite type of cheese? Thanks for the live streams. I really enjoy them and usually listen to them while doing something else, like a podcast. So here's the deal, Mr. Entity GFX. My favorite type of cheese is Probably Brie. I'm a big fan of Brie. I'm a Brie-lever in the fact that that was the worst joke. You know, should we just stop this Q&A right now? That was bad enough that I think we need to. But no, I really love Brie. I think it's a wonderful cheese. But I think the actual best cheese depends on the situation. That's the cool thing about cheeses that I feel like you don't get with many other like things. Like there aren't. I would say the best drink is like there's maybe like 3 different best drinks depending on the situation. But the best cheese, there's like 15 different best cheese depending on the mood, the feeling, the drink pairing. There's so many things you can do with cheese, and it's kind of like a weird game you can play. And yeah, I'm a big fan of cheese. Every now and then you get it on planes, and I'm impressed that cheese holds its value that well up in the sky. But you better believe it does. Also on the live stream thing, because I feel like that's way more important than my cheese opinions. Let's talk about the live streams, because yeah, I've been really enjoying the live streams recently too. The way it seems to work is like I go through phases where I stream like every other day, and then I go through phases where I don't. And I want to thank everyone who comes along to the live streams, but I want to quickly just raise the point that if you miss a live stream and you want to use them as podcasts, because some people like that and they're like, you know what, this is the thing I want over anything else. I have a playlist on my channel called Unlisted Live Streams. If you click that playlist, you'll find the live streams in there, because they're not public videos on the channel for reasons that, you know, something YouTube algorithm. But if you want to find them, they are out there and they'll be in a playlist if you want to browse them that way. Also, if they're in the playlist, they'll play one after another after another. So if you want to do that, you totally can. And I think that's cool. And I think it's something that has kind of like shifted my opinions on how the live streams work. I think it's interesting, at least. Maybe you disagree, like Unprofessional Art, who says, can you use communism to describe how badly you want a cave update? Well, here's the thing about most communist states that have established themselves, at least as of the last century and a half, who knows about the future, but every major communist state that has established itself has done so with the premise of like, we are communist state, everyone is equal, except actually kind of not really. We're going to keep currency, and then we're going to make sure that currency centralizes in the hands of the people that are most important to us to keep our power so that the communist state can continue. And yeah, the kind of the name of the communist, you know, name of most things in communism really don't match the actual job titles. It's deliberately a juxtaposition between what they tell you and what they say, because then they know that like, oh yeah, our word is way more important than actual facts. Facts in the world are kind of secondary to making sure you listen to authority figures. And you might say, where's the relation to that in Minecraft? But here's the thing about Minecraft. Minecraft has the exact same problem that so many communist governments have had, where like the game is called Minecraft, right? And you totally can go mining and you can go crafting. But here's the deal. Most updates to Minecraft, again, notice how it's still called Minecraft. Most updates to Minecraft haven't focused on mining or crafting. Admittedly, every update adds a little bit of crafting, but what was the last update we had with some mining? I think that just like the breakup of the USSR, I think just like the Tiananmen Square protests, which didn't happen, sorry, I was just joking about that, but I think just like this one historical event and this one very much fictional event that didn't happen and you can't Google if you want to learn more about, I think just like these two events, there's this thing where we need to have a big revolution. We need to demand a cave update. If the bourgeoisie of Mojang will not grant the proletariat a mining update, then we need to, I don't actually know enough about the communist theory to say what you rise up, I guess. And that's all we need to do as users. We need to demand a cave update. God damn it. Anyway, with that said, let's move into the next question, which comes in from Professor Tech, or Professor Toe. I assume he was Professor Tech because it looks like a printer is his profile picture. What is the deal with this? Anyway, why should I be suspicious about a normal Q&A? And I think you'll find you shouldn't, Mr. Professor Toe. You're being suspicious over nothing. This is way too much paranoia over nothing, Mr. Professor Toe. Maybe you should go take a profile picture that isn't a print. Is that a printer? I don't actually know. I just know that I should replace my profile picture with a fax machine, because clearly I've been doing it wrong this whole time, and Professor Toe knows what's going on. Anyway, with that said, let's move into the next question, which comes in from Dank Lord, who says, what if instead of a cave update, we got a never and end update? Also, Toycat is yes and no. Here's the deal, right? All we need in an update to make it a dreamy update, because Minecraft does need a dimension update too. The Nether's been pretty boring. It was kind of just added as a goof all those years ago, and then it's been updated a couple of times since then. It's got a similar problem where it's not being supported as much. It's not got enough content to keep you there. So yeah, I think the Nether update, the Nether does need to have an update. One of the best ways you could do so though is with brand new structures. Maybe you could say, hypothetically, you know, purely just on paper, we could have Nether caves. Maybe we could call it a Nether cave update, or because the Nether's just too unwieldy, a cave update in the Nether. Boom, isn't that a great idea? Same with the End. Imagine if there were actual caves with actual ores you could find in the End Islands. You'd have reasons to go down there. What if there were structures too? What if there are rare loots that you could only find down there in the same way you find elytras right now? That would be amazing. And also he says Toycat is yes and no. Well, you know what? You are yes and no too, Mr. Danklord. How do you like that? How's that make you feel? But with that said, let's move into the next question, which comes in from Alexia Poling, who says, genuinely, what is your favorite food IRL? So is that a cat cuddling with a horse, by the way? I think that is. Isn't that adorable? But yeah, no, I would say my favorite food in real life, because I feel like having a favorite of anything is really hard. Maybe especially as like a YouTube person, because it's like, man, I like pizza a lot because it's just the default go-to good food. But also sometimes you try things that are like worlds better than pizza. Like I love bibimbap. I don't know, the Korean rice dish. You know what it is if you know Korean. But like I was in love with that. When I went to Japan, I was in love with the way they did ramen. And every time I got one of those little bento boxes, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, just imagine you do. Like a little lunchbox filled with random little Japanese snacks. I was like, yeah, this is the tastiest food. But yeah, I think I think having a favorite food is obviously a bit of a thing that I don't think applies to me. I think I travel so much and there's so many different times for different foods that I've just kind of concluded that, like, you know, my favorite food would not be a single dish. It'd be like 21 separate meals in a row, like a week's worth of food. Like, okay, well, you go day 1 and you have this, that, finished with the ice cream. Day 2, this, finished with the cheesecake. Because I had a cheesecake that was so good, it made me realize, like, maybe I like cheesecake more than every other dessert. And that's how my life eternally is. I can't commit to a single favorite food in the world. And maybe that shows some problems about me, or maybe that shows some problems with the world for thinking that there should be a favorite food. I think it's definitely the latter, if I had to be precise. But let's move into the next question regardless, because TTV streamer, by the way, says, will you ever do another Bedrock server experiment? If so, when? So the answer to this one, I like to be very specific, because people ask me this all the time, and it's definitely not annoying being asked literally 3 times a day when you're going to be doing another Bedrock server experiment, because what people usually mean is like, hey, when can I join a server, because I like being in a video, and I kind of get why, I totally understand it, but my response to all of those people is 2019, and my response to you is going to be later this year. And what is the year right now? That's right, it's 2019. Yeah, I don't know about these things until I'm about to do them. One of the things I love about where I'm at right now with YouTube, you can hate me for this or you can think this is a dream, whichever way you want to take things. But the truth is, the thing I love about what I do on YouTube right now is that I kind of do get to pick every day what I'm going to do. Some days I'm really, really motivated to make a video like this. Some days I just want to make a Let's Play. Even if it's like a Thursday, I'll be like, yeah, let's do this. So I want to talk some stuff or whatever. Some days I'm like, you know, I want to make some weird jokes about, I don't know, the British Empire or about extremist ideologies. I think the next one's gonna be about capitalism, by the way. So if you like, you want to hear about capitalism in Minecraft, you better believe that's gonna be a fun video. I love that that's what I get to decide, and I don't like having strict schedules on things like the servers, because the way the servers work best is if I have a fun idea, and that's a thing that's gonna happen. So yeah, when is the next Bedrock server experiment? After China, which I assume you've already seen. It's gonna be in 2019, and I'm sorry I can't be more specific, but that is what I love about running the servers. And if you don't love it, then I don't love you. And you know, it's probably not the first time you've heard that, is it? You know, like, I'm exactly like your dad, except, oh, I'm actually here. I don't know why I'm being so randomly mean to people who are actually fans of mine. But you know what? With that said, let's move into the last question, which comes in from Eli Tried, who says, why do you have the sexiest hair? And you know what? I first of all, I feel like, thank you very much for thinking my hair is sexy. Second of all, the fact that this came in with the Q&A, again, you can tell that this was, you know, purely random by the fact that I'm so flustered by this question. Third of all, do you ever consider how sexiest is a really weird word to use for a lot of things, right? Like, it literally means sex-iest. It's the adjective form of sex. And it's like, you know what? Can you call a car sexy? I feel like if you call a car sexy, then you're telling me a lot about what you think in, you know, in that context. Can you call hair sexy? I think you definitely can, but can you call my hair sexy? I feel like you definitely cannot. I mean, maybe that's just me. Maybe that's not just me. But yeah, I had some really deep thoughts about hair recently, because I was like in a wedding at the back with no one else, and I was just staring at people's hair for like 2 hours, and I realized that, like, you know what? There are lots of ways to have sexy hair in the world, and isn't that a nice thing? I think it is. But was it sexy hair, or was it nice hair? Was it beautiful hair? Was it charming hair? Was there any other word, or was it the sexiest hair? You tell me, Mr. Eli Tried, and also you tell me, Mr. and Mrs. Audience. I'm assuming that's actually a Mr. there. But anyway, you tell me, gender-neutral audience, what did you think of this Q&A, and what do you think of... Don't tell me what you think of my hair. I feel like, you know, if you say something nice, I'll be like, oh, you're just saying that. If you say something mean, I'll be like, well, That's the truth, because that's how it is on YouTube, right? You learn to block out either the positive or the negative. Everyone focuses on either the most positive or the most negative, and you get YouTubers with crazy egos, or you get YouTubers with crazy, egos. And I don't know, I felt like something to do with the vast seas of negative and positive has something to do with that. So why don't you leave a neutral comment? Why don't you leave a comment that isn't nice? It's not nice. It's just factual and objective, and there's not too much else going on there. But let me know what you thought about the assistant picking questions. If you have any advice for her, you can also leave it down below. And I'll tell her that one of the things she should do this week is go through and read those comments. And look at that. Now you're self-improvement. Now you're doing my job for me, because I can't be an employer of any form, that's definitely for sure. Oh, and just in case you didn't like the questions, you thought, you know, some of these were a bit weird, you know, like, oh, it was kind of nice that this wasn't a whole ulterior motive thing, Toy Cat. You better believe that this whole Q&A was just a ploy to make you realize how much you need a cave update. You might say, no, Toy Cat, you were talking about hair, you made me have realizations. This can't be all about the cave update, but how about I go back through and I show you the questions from this video? Notice the names of the people looks a bit suspicious when you see them all together, doesn't it? That's right, it was all an ulterior ploy to convince you that we need a cave update, and if we don't get a cave update, we riot in the streets. We riot like it's 1989 and we're in the square in a place in Tiananmen that definitely nothing has ever happened in. And that is a thing that we need to all have in solidarity together, I think. But either way, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed today's thingamajiggy. If you liked it, let me know. And if you want to see more of these, I don't know. I feel like QnA Saturday might have answered all the questions ever. So try and leave a question that is different and unique. And we'll do solely different, wacky, unique questions next week, maybe. I don't know. Let me know what you thought of this. But thank you very much for watching. And I guess I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.